I have PTSD because of it.
And their next mission, readjusting to civilian life.
It's a process. I'm here to make it as smooth as possible.
There are 19 million living U.S. veterans.
It's a family. The military is a family.
And tonight, we honor them. You're watching Veterans Voices, honoring those who serve. From WATE, 6 on your side.
Good evening, I'm Lori Tucker.
And I'm Bo Williams.
And I'm Don Dare. Thank you for joining us tonight.
We have so many great stories for you tonight as we shine a spotlight on heroes who call East Tennessee home.
That's right. You know, let's get straight into it with a veteran who was at Pearl Harbor on that infamous day in 1941.
That's right, Bo. During that attack nearly 80 years ago, Derwood Swanson was at Hickam Field, an air base right next to Pearl Harbor.
December 7th, 1941. No American will ever forget this Sunday morning in Hawaii.
Derwood Swanson has never forgotten.
The first bomb that fell was on Hickam Field, Hawaiian Air Depot. That was the first man that was killed in World War II.
100-year-old Derwood Swanson remembers December 7th, 1941, like it was yesterday. He was a U.S. Army Air Force's technical sergeant, having enlisted right out of high school in 1939. Take me back to December 7th of 1941.
Okay. I was in charge of the air police at Hickam Field.
Without warning, they circled Pearl Harbor and the city of Honolulu. A surprise attack born of infamy.
That Sunday morning, Mr. Swanson had just returned from the mess hall after an overnight patrol shift, and he was about ready to turn in.
My bed was between two windows, and I rolled over and looked out the window, and I seen a zero banking, and I seen the rising sun on the wings. And boy, it didn't take me but just about 2 minutes to put my shirt on, run downstairs, get my 45 stripped on, and get on my motorcycle, and I headed for the main gate.
B-17?
Uh-huh.
On an iPad, we looked at pictures of Hickam Field after the strafing and bombing of the hangars and runway had ended. Derwood's memory is sharp.
They tore up hangar 3, 5, 7, and 11. The last raid was high-altitude bombers coming over. All the dive bombers and everything was gone.
And once those planes went away, you thought they could possibly come back.
That's right, absolutely.
Hours after the raid had ended, Derwood said he and fellow soldier Stud Lloyd returned to the main gate.
At night, me and Lloyd were standing down at the gate. I said, Lloyd, we ain't took the flag down. He said, we'll get it in the morning. I said, not me. You may not, but I'm going to get it tonight.
Derwood sits in front of that flag in these pictures taken in 2015 as a new, updated case was created for Old Glory at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. Remembering his buddies at Pearl, he's returned to the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific in Honolulu and placed roses on their grave sites.
And I put one on Strickland's grave, one on George Smith's grave.
You will always remember those men.
Yes.
Some poignant moments. After the war, Mr. Swanson went to Tennessee Polytechnic Institute, now called Tennessee Tech, where he received a degree in engineering. And Lori, at his 100th birthday,
yes,
he told you a great story about his connection to Hank Williams?
None other than, after his time in the military, he pursued his love of music, becoming a front man for the legendary country star.
Great guy.
Good stuff. Hey, you know, each day during the summer months, this is the scene of the Ed Katherine Poole in North Knoxville. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, who is Ed Katherine? To find the answer, we turned to the archives at the Beck Center here in Knoxville. And we found Ed Katherine was an Austin High and Knoxville College graduate who served in the U.S. Army during World War II as a member of the Buffalo Soldiers. And according to his late mother, Lucy, in an interview preserved by the Beck archives, was a natural leader.
They were having a terrible battle there. And his captain had just fell on the battlefield, and then they called on him to, my son, to take his captain's place.
Now, Katherine died on the battlefield in Italy as a leader in 1944. He was the first African-American soldier from Knoxville to lose his life in World War II.
For retired Colonel Paula Pensen, September 11th has double importance and irony. She began her 4 decades of military service on September 11th, 1973. After 9/11, Pensen was tapped to write policy on getting the Army National Guard ready to deploy. She recalls meeting at the Department of Defense.
For me, as a woman sitting in the room, there's only 24% females in the Air Force. 75% of the people in the room are males. And at one point, I'm talking to 3-star generals and saying, sir, after Desert Storm, Desert Shield, you're just saying cavalierly, let's activate the inactive ready reserve. And so I was able to not only write the policy for the Army Guard, I was also an advocate for that weekend warrior, so to speak.
Colonel Pensen was promoted 11 times. She wore 11 ranks. So think about it. She said her oath of enlistment to the Constitution of the United States 11 times. Coming up next on Veterans Voices, the only American guard to witness executions in a prison where war criminals were given the death sentence opens up about how he is still haunted by his memories.
I guarded him about 4 or 5 months, and all at once they said, tomorrow they're going to hang some.
You're watching Veterans Voices on WATE, 6 on your side.
On the European battlefields in World War II, Landsberg Prison outside of Munich, Germany, was used during the U.S. occupation of Germany for holding Nazi war criminals sentenced to death for crimes against humanity. A young soldier from our area witnessed many of those executions there.
This is what most Germany looked like when I was there. There was hardly a building standing.
94-year-old Merle Campbell is still haunted by the memories of his duties as a prison guard in Germany after World War II. He was a teenager, a coal miner from Harlan, Kentucky, when he was drafted in 1945. Within months, he would serve in occupied Germany. As he looks closely at pictures of that time, he recalls his first duty. He was there, just like in the picture of this U.S. Army soldier, with freed concentration camp survivors as they were waiting to be placed.
4,000 of them, the Jewish people, they call them DPs, displaced persons. The government fed them until they found out where to place them, and they were still there when I left.
While his unit did not help free the survivors, he remembers seeing the concentration camps.
I saw Buchenwald, I saw the furnaces, I saw the bones in a lake.
His main mission, though, was at Landsberg Prison, where condemned war criminals were given death sentences by either firing squad or hanging.
They had already been tried, 30 of them, already been sentenced to death, and we were guarding them at the Landsberg Prison. I guarded them about 4 or 5 months, and all at once they said, tomorrow we're going to hang some. And I'm the only man out of our company. For the life of me, I can't understand why. I was the only man out of our company sent to where we hung 28 one day. Next day we hung 2, the last 2. Hung them one at a time.
And that's a sight that's still in your mind.
I have PTSD because of it. They had to lead me over and sit me down, put my head between my legs, keep me from passing out. I have nightmares over it now. I still do.
What happened to those German officers then after they were hanged?
We took them down, put them in a wood casket, pine, homemade casket with straw in it, nailed the lid shut. Their relatives came and they're buried right behind that prison that I showed you. There's a graveyard, and they are buried behind there.
Today, the retired Church of God preacher says he was little prepared for what he witnessed in post-war Germany. 75 years later, the images of the concentration camp survivors and the condemned war criminals continue to weigh on his mind. And not long after World War II ended, Merle Campbell decided to enter the ministry. He moved from Kentucky to Tennessee, where he began serving as a preacher at the La Follette Church of God. Well, coming up next on Veterans Voices, meet a trailblazer who represents the University of Tennessee. Welcome back. She was the first female from the University of Tennessee to go into the Air Force and complete pilot training.
Yeah, her name is Colonel Carmella Lawson, and she's retired now.
Yes, when Colonel Lawson was a little girl, she thought she wanted to be a flight attendant, or stewardess as they were called back then. Once she got to Heritage High and joined Junior ROTC, though, she knew she'd rather be in the cockpit flying the plane.
Order.
Junior ROTC members at William Blount High School are busy practicing drills,
Forward. March.
and marching skills, getting ready for a big evaluation. Their leader is someone who's using her vast military experience to influence them.
It's not a job, it's helping the future be better for this community and for the country, I think, because these folks are going to be the leaders of all that.
It takes a leader to train one. Just ask some of Lawson's cadets.
Carmella Lawson has taught me a lot throughout the years. Perseverance is a big one. I feel good about serving my community, how I serve my nation, going out and doing these community service.
Lawson's exemplary service to her country as an Air Force pilot included reaching the rank Lieutenant Colonel, Squadron Commander, when she was 9 months pregnant.
It will be nice when they stop saying, wow, you're a woman doing this job. I flew 5 different types of airplanes, lived in several different places, got to live in Japan, got to live in Germany. All right, relax, okay? Great experiences for my children, and I always loved the people that I worked with.
She went on to earn colonel status. Her father took part in her pinning ceremony.
I tried not to think of myself as any different than anybody else. I had a job to do, and I wanted to do it better than anybody else. You know, that was all. I'm very competitive.
Lawson brings that competitive yet cheerful spirit to the current job she loves.
All I ever want for these folks is to be ready for the real world. I tell them every day, the real world's going to be tough, but you're going to be tougher.
By the way, both of Lawson's children were in her Junior ROTC program. Still to come tonight, we tell you about an organization helping some of our veterans transition back into society.
No two veterans are alike. We're like snowflakes, but we all come with baggage.
You're watching Veterans Voices on WATE, 6 on your side.
But at Maryville College, there's an on-campus organization there to help out. On the campus of Maryville College, inside Bartlett Hall, something very special is happening.
This program has been absolutely vital for my success.
Junior Brian Rosansky served 2 years in the U.S. Army.
The goal is to be able to be prepared once we do leave here.
Senior Albert Johnson, 5 years in the U.S. Marine Corps.
My job is to build connections with veterans.
And graduate Dave Daniels served 15 years in the U.S. Navy.
This job is primarily recruiting, but it has a very heavy focus on retention.
A Maryville College graduate himself in 2020, Daniels now oversees the very program he relied upon as a veteran turned college student, as he now heads up the school's military recruiting and outreach program.
I talked them through navigating through the VA, which is a task in itself, the transition from military to civilian life, and I offer them the support that they need to be successful students while they're here.
And that essentially is what this on-campus organization does. Helps veterans transition back to the classroom and succeed.
Really, without Dave being up here, he's really helped me kind of learn how to reincorporate some of those skills I've learned in the military into the college setting.
Historically, we have higher GPAs than non-traditional students at large, and it's because we're driven in a different kind of way.
Driven and disciplined, traits from their military experience, recipes for success, but that's not the easy part.
No two veterans are alike. We're like snowflakes, but we all come with baggage. My job here is to let you know that your baggage you can handle.
And part of that is accomplished through Daniel's leadership, but also through bringing veterans together on campus.
Having the space with people that you can connect with and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, and 9 times out of 10, somebody's already gone through it here.
Just being around veterans is always, just for me at least, very uplifting. People who have either been through what I've been through or have similar experiences that we can talk about.
I could definitely see if you were...
It's that open line of communication between students, leadership, and the college that keeps these student veterans on track.
It's a process. I'm here to make it as smooth as possible.
As a matter of fact, Daniels says that he preaches family when it comes to this program, and it shows. Hey, stay with us. We're introducing you to a true hero who received the Medal of Honor for his actions at Iwo Jima after the break.
Why they missed me, why they didn't get me, I have no answer to that, except the man up there wasn't ready for me, and the devil didn't know what to do with me, so he let me go.
You're watching Veterans Voices on WATE, 6 on your side.
Iwo Jima began. 70,000 Marines swept onto the small South Pacific island. 3 Marine divisions charged onto the black ash of the beaches. The 36-day battle was one of the bloodiest in the history of the U.S. Marine Corps. The Japanese defenders were dug into the bunkers deep within the volcanic rocks of the island. We sat down with 98-year-old Woody Williams, who was presented the Medal of Honor for valor at Iwo Jima. He was one of 27 Marines and sailors who received the Medal of Honor for heroism above and beyond the call of duty during the battle. A corporal and 21 years old, Woody was a flamethrower assigned to a demolition unit with the 3rd Marine Division, battling an enemy that was well dug in.
We were losing Marines so very rapidly because they were in a protected area and we're in open ground.
He says the enemy was protected under miles of underground tunnels and pillboxes.
Our training was, and our purpose was, to move forward.
But each time they moved forward, more Marines were lost. So Corporal Williams' commander held a meeting.
During his talk, I don't remember anything that he said particularly, except he got to me and he said, "Do you think you could do something with the flamethrower?" He picked these 4 Marines to go with me, to protect me. And I strapped on a 70-pound flamethrower and went to work. That was my job.
Over a period of 4 hours, he did his job. Nothing special, he said.
Why they missed me, why they didn't get me, I have no answer to that, except the man up there wasn't ready for me, and the devil didn't know what to do with me, so he let me go. But I was able to eliminate the enemy within 7 of those pillboxes by putting either explosives or flames in the pillboxes. And that gave us a hole we could go through.
And you had 4 brave men with you.
And 2 of them sacrificed their life protecting mine.
And those are the men that you remember.
Yes. Yeah. And I wear it in their honor, not mine.
That Medal of Honor.
Yes, indeed.
Today, Herschel, Woodrow, Woody Williams travels the country. He was in Knoxville in mid-September as the Medal of Honor flag was raised at the East Tennessee Veterans Memorial, dedicating the 4-day Medal of Honor celebration beginning September 13th of next year. And he continues to serve his country. Since 2010, the Herschel Woody Williams Medal of Honor Foundation has been establishing permanent Gold Star family memorials all across the United States. The memorials are dedicated to those who have lost loved ones in military conflict.
It's almost incomprehensible to me that so many cities in our country have been willing to form committees and raise money and establish these memorial monuments, something that we should have done years and years ago.
And to Woody Williams, that gold star represents the 2 Marines who died protecting him so many years ago.
And Lori and Bo, one final story about Mr. Williams. He tried to enlist in the Marines in 1942, but he was too short at 5'6". He successfully enlisted the next year.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Don, thanks for that story. And for all of our veterans out there, thank you for your service.
Good night.